welcome to the Backyard Blitz. We're here. Super Bowl 57's over, boys. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how I feel about it.
It's a double-edged sword, BP. I'm a little bummed out, man. The Super Bowl was great, but football season's over. So and now we gotta wait a whole lot of months for more live action. Although we do have the XFL and the USFL coming up, so fear not, there is football coming up, but we were given a treat to end the year for sure. We were given a great game and fun to watch, and
I'm sure that we're gonna. Yeah, I'm sure that we'll talk about the XFL and the USFL. There's a couple guys from the USFL this last year that really made a name for themselves in the NFL. So the one that I can think of just off the top of my head was the Turpin from the Cowboys that was their kick returner. He was a really good player for the USFL and obviously got a tryout. And
so it's a good opportunity for guys. You know, might not be the best football out there, but it's definitely football nonetheless. So it'll hold you over for a little bit.
Yeah, I think we'll watch that first game, and then it's almost like preseason football. Like, man, these quarterbacks suck.
Yeah. Well, that's like the stands. The stands will be full for the first game, and then you'll see the stands dwindling off too. So that's usually how those
XFL starts this year too.
Yeah, doesn't it start like next week?
Something.
Yeah, something soon. Yeah,
something soon.
I thought it was like the 24th or something. 25th.
Yeah, it starts something soon. Honestly though, I watched the USFL last year. The games were, of course it is an NFL, but it was like more interesting than I imagined. Like it was.
Larry says it's Saturday.
It was actually like decent football because a lot of those guys are guys that were either on somebody's practice squad, got released by somebody, or like. So I mean, it's not like they just went and got a bunch of random guys like off the street or anything.
No, there's good talent. Obviously, we were talking about the guy from the Cowboys, and every year there seems to be like a couple guys that come over from those leagues. So,
well, let's be honest. Like if those leagues would have been around, I don't know. Like, would we have gone to Germany? Would we have been in one of those leagues? Like I think it would have taken. That was the only 11-on-11 ball that there really was at the time that we went over there, because you either had arena ball or you had to go up to Canada and play. Was it 13 men and
probably
3 downs or whatever? Yeah, Germany was the.
I still would have been in Germany.
Nice.
That's where I think that's where my skill level peaked out at. So.
Man, I don't know. You had a pretty good arm, man.
Yeah, I did back in the day. Hey, we're missing one. We're missing one. Prophet.
Talk about him.
Yeah, so Prophet is having a procedure done tomorrow morning. He's in bed. He's got to be up early. I won't go into too much detail, but if you guys out there, if you pray, keep Prophet in your prayers. If you don't pray, good vibes, positive vibes, you can use them. Everything's okay right now. I think we're good, but he's going and getting some stuff done. So hopefully he'll be back with us maybe next week, maybe in a couple weeks. But Prophet, we're thinking about you. Miss you.
Absolutely.
The show ain't the same without you, man.
Absolutely. The thing is, he's going to have those one-liners all pent up forever, how long he's out. And when he comes back, they're going to be flying. So that he's going to be letting loose. When he
I wonder if they're going to ask for autographs or anything when they're wheeling him back for surgery.
Oh, probably.
Like, aren't you the Prophet? Yeah, he's the Prophet. Like, no autographs. Tony, treat them.
Yeah, Tony, 3 times. He's probably going to say that when he's in anesthesia. Tony, 3 times. What are you talking about? Yeah. Well, hey, we got a Super Bowl to talk about, guys. It was eventful. It was a great game. I was happy that we were able to get the game that we did. It went back and forth, but let's talk about it. And let's start off with where the Super Bowl started, and that was with the national anthem. Boys, we saw the picture and it's kind of turned into a meme now of Nick Sirianni with tears streaming down his face.
Ball.
I'm not gonna lie. I was standing up and I'm listening to Chris Stapleton sing, and I start to feel those tears like well up. It was a really nice rendition of the national anthem. What do you guys think about that?
I think it was probably one of the best renditions I've heard. People compare that to the Whitney Houston rendition, which was good, and it was two totally different renditions, but awesome, man. I mean, just raw. Chris Stapleton's one of the, I think, the best natural singers out there, and for him to go out there and just sing the national anthem the way it's meant to be sung, and it was just raw. And you saw a lot, not only Sirianni, you saw a lot of emotion in a lot of people, man. It hit a lot of people right in the gut, and it was a great rendition. So it was a great kickoff to the game, a great pregame, and it led into a great game.
Slick. So Sirianni's your guy, man. Like you guys, like you've had a chance to be around that guy on a day-to-day basis, and I've kind of been indifferent about him, kind of during the season. I know Drew's been like, whatever, that guy. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the tears kind of streaming down his face, and like I kind of felt that emotion. You guys got to be with me on this. When it's a national anthem of the Super Bowl, you start to feel that juice, even if you're not playing. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, what would it be like if you're standing right there? And just seeing the tears kind of stream down his face was like, you could relate to him right then. Like, man, I'd be doing the same thing, just balling on national TV, bro. What did you think about that, Slick?
Well, first of all, before I even get to that, not just the national anthem, I like the setup that they did leading into the national anthem. When they started with the Black national anthem, then they went to the
America the Beautiful, was it?
Beautiful.
Yeah, they went to that, and then they went to I like that whole setup. Kind of like how it's like they paid homage to like all different type categories. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I like that part. When I saw that, it definitely did put me back in that football mode a little bit. The national anthem. When I saw Sirianni tearing up, I was like, I mean, I don't know. I'm a passionate person, but I'm not really an emotional person. Yeah. So like even with the national anthem, whether it was basketball, football, whatever the case may be, even the Whitney Houston performance, I still feel like that's probably the best one ever. But
that was killer.
I wasn't just sitting there like, oh my God, like I never teared up. If anything, it got me like geeked to a whole different level to where like I'm ready to just like, let's put the pads on, let's rock.
Yeah. That's a good point, Rick, because like I never, for as many national anthems as I stood through, I've always got more amped up than I did emotional, I think, hearing that. And, it starts coming to a close and everybody's putting their helmets up or whatever they're doing. I'm curious, and I didn't watch a lot of the post-game stuff to see if he actually answered his question, but what was going through his mind at that point, Sirianni, to be like, that wasn't just shedding a tear, dude. Like he was crying.
It was like alligator tears.
Yeah, it was like bawling, and I don't know, like
me.
It means a lot to people.
That's what I was going to say. When I saw it, I was like, "That's what's up, coach." Like you know what I'm saying? Like you deserve where you at right now, because like I said, even last year when he first came in, like he was kind of like a joke to like a lot of commentators. They were talking about how he messed up in the press conference originally. They carried that on, and then the season didn't go the way they wanted it to go. And they were talking about him and Jalen Hurts, how it was, you know what I'm saying? Right. I just feel like he was like a laughing stock of the NFL for a while last year. And then just to see his progression, like his elevation from starting at Mount Union as a player, then as a coach, then he came to IUP for 2 years where I was at. Then he finally got into the NFL and just kind of like worked his way up, and basically kind of like, I'm pretty sure he had his doubters, people that probably said he was either too young or didn't know enough football or didn't have enough experience or would never get to that level. And the fact that he did it, like I'm pretty sure like all of that stuff just was in one big ball.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. So like any other national anthem that we've been at, which is kind of funny, when we're in Germany, like they played like the American national anthem and then like the German national anthem, and like nobody knew the German national anthem, and we're in Germany. We got to be looking around like there's some wild stuff right now. But I would be just like what you said, Drew, like that would amp me up. But I think at like the Super Bowl, like I almost feel like it's like, oh my gosh, it's the biggest stage of the sport. and like you're there, like you're on the sideline. I feel like it would just hit you in maybe a different way. Even just watching that one puts me in a different way. But I don't know. I was just like, all right. But then, later on in the game, you see him flipping off, the Chiefs sideline, and Jalen Hurts is like, no, coach.
Yeah,
like,
well,
put that arm down.
Dude, that's another conversation point. It's like when your 24-year-old starting quarterback has got to check the head coach like for acting like a clown, dude. It tells you a lot about where his maturation is at and where it needs to be, because a lot of the stuff that he does is for the camera.
And he kind of did it all through the playoffs, like kind of playing up to it a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, kudos to Hurts, but Hurts checked him. He like grabbed his arm and put his arm down. Like, what are you doing? Like you're a head coach right now. You're in the middle of the Super Bowl and you're worried about the fans, dude. So I didn't like that. That was a conversation point with
I didn't even see that till after. Buddies. Yeah, I saw it like after the fact, and I didn't
even see it. I'll tell you what did catch my eye though. We're talking about Sirianni giving somebody a finger. Did you guys see Jerry Rice?
No, huh?
So he was at the Super Bowl, and I guess like it was Philly fans were like kind of like ranting or whatever the case may be, but it was like a small group of like 49er fans in the stands. Mm-hmm. So like he had this little satchel or something or whatever, and he starts pulling out his championship rings. Put them on his fingers, and he put one on the middle finger, and then put the middle finger up, and was like heading towards the stands. It was like, I was like, "Whoa, hold on! Like this is Jerry Rice doing this."
Yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
I'll tell you what. Of all the great football players that we see, it's rare that you see him either out like on the field or like kind of close to the stands. He has like season tickets that's like right in the end zone in Santa Clara, and Clinton, Kerry Parker, we're good friends with them. They were here over the weekend. Matter of fact, that's where I was for Thanksgiving. They sat behind him like 3 times, and like he's always there, and he's got this big chain on, and he's got his drink, and they just treat him like royalty there, man. I'd be like, that's what's up, man. I'd tell you.
That's funny.
So we had the lead up to it, right? The whole stage was set, and then it kicks off, and what was it? Philadelphia had the ball first, and they went right down the field and scored, and then Kansas City came back. And they scored, and I think that's what, like in my mind, I was like, "We're gonna have a shootout. This isn't gonna be no low scoring game. These defenses, man, slick called it, man."
If McKinnon doesn't slide at the 1, what is the final score?
I looked at that, man. I looked at that, but it was a hell of a game. The thing that stood out to me, and I got a couple things written down here. Number one. The Philadelphia Eagles defensive line that was second all time in a season for sacks, right? 70 plus, didn't get one, fellas. Like what happened? Like what do you think happened to that Eagles defensive line? Like, do you think it was a combination of Patrick Mahomes? You think like the Chiefs line? I've been reading stuff about the Chiefs line. Their pitcher didn't give up a sack to the Eagles. Like, what do you think it was? Do you just think it was the moment? You think the Chiefs line was that much better, or do you think the turf played a factor?
I think it was. I don't think the turf really had, my opinion. I don't think the turf really had anything to do with it. I think it had a lot to do with the offensive line stepped up, played ball. They did move the pocket in a lot of situations, and like I said before, like Mahomes, like even though he had the ankle situation, he's in the NFL, so it's just so much resources and sources to where he can get his ankle to where he needs it to be. It might not be 100. It won't be 100 until he takes the actual offseason off and rested. But I feel like everything just took place, and I mean he just played ball. Like I don't know, the Eagles, they still were coming. The Chiefs stepped up.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Drew?
I've been saying it for a while that like. Okay, the Eagles defense is one of the best in the league, but they have had, their faults. They've given up points to a couple teams, and they weren't perfect, and they weren't perfect going into that game, and they weren't invincible. And the Chiefs had a good plan. I think the Eagles come out and control the ball the first half, just completely dominate time of possession, and just keep the Chiefs offense off the field. They drive down. They got a long touch or scoring drive, the first drive of the game. The Chiefs answer back, and you're like, all right, here we go. We're off to the races. I thought it was going to be a low-scoring game. And then it was kind of the Eagles' game. The whole first half was kind of the Eagles' game, I think. And what? They go into halftime, 24-14 or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
10-point lead going into half.
It just, it looked like the Eagles had a good plan going in. And, you touched on the turf. Like, talk about the turf. They've been grooming this turf for 2 years.
Yep.
For this game.
Wasn't it a different type of grass too? Like altogether that they haven't used before?
It was embarrassing, dude. Like, I don't care what anybody says. That was an embarrassment. To have a playing surface like that, and the guys were equating it to going out there and playing in a torrential downpour.
Wow.
They said that they're slipping all over the place, and from what I understand, they painted the whole field green, and then they painted over top of that. I heard that. I don't know. I guess I don't know if you guys didn't hear that. I don't know.
I didn't hear that they painted it green, but I know
I heard they painted it green and then painted everything over top of that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that either.
Damn,
I knew it was a different soil and a new surface, and like BP said, they had been preparing it for years or whatever the case may be. I knew all of that.
It's just it wasn't a good look for the NFL. It wasn't a good look for the Super Bowl. To have field conditions like that. And it was obvious. And it wasn't just one team. It was both guys or both teams that were feeling the effects of it. But yeah, I mean, to go back and, talk about what we were talking about, I think the Eagles defense, they started off all right. And then second half, I mean, we'll talk about it, but the second half comes out and it's just a whole nother team, a whole nother team.
I'll tell you what really kind of stood out to me, especially in that first half, is Nick Bolton's a guy. That dude was flying around, making plays everywhere. Honestly, I felt like he should have had 2 touchdowns. The one that he had that tied the game at 14. I mean, Jalen Hurts just kind of dropped that ball or whatever. Didn't look like anybody hit it out. But, I mean, he picks it up and returns it. And then he had another one that Miles Sanders. I felt like that was a catch. I felt like that was more of a catch than the Dallas Goedert one. Later on, it was close.
I don't think he had it long enough.
Yeah,
I don't think he had control long enough.
Well, what's crazy to me, fellas, because I wanted to talk about this, was that particular play, right? He catches it. He had 2 feet down and he starts to move upfield, but not quite enough, right? That they overturn it. But then you look at that Dallas Goedert one later on where he's got, I think it was almost up by his head and just his toe was on the ground as he was starting to gain control of it. I felt like the Miles Sanders catch was more of a catch. Right? Yeah, I thought the Miles Sanders one was more of a catch than that one, but still, I mean, Nick Bolton was everywhere. And that kid is only 22 years old, coming off his second season, had 160 tackles this year. That dude jumped off the film for me. Number 30. I was like, who the hell? Linebacker's wearing 32? Nick Bolton. I was like, wasn't that dude from Mizzou?
He's been like that all year. Like you said, he had over 160 tackles. Like he's everywhere. He was a rookie last year. I think he was like a second or third round draft pick. Dude, they really hit that pick, man, because he's been great for them. Talking further into it, one of the matchups that I said last week that we need to watch was the matchup between the coaches.
Yeah.
Andy Reid and Nick Sirianni, and who's going to win that battle. And I think
talk about it, man.
I truly believe that the Eagles were absolutely positively outcoached in that game.
Absolutely.
For whatever
it's the second half.
For whatever the Eagles did, the Chiefs had an answer. And for whatever the Chiefs did, the Eagles couldn't answer. And you talk about your scoring at the end of the game on the same play 2 times. Like, man, talk about that.
I wanted to talk about
motion, but I just think that the experience of Andy Reid and the Chiefs coaching kind of took over in the second. They definitely took over in the second half and really propelled them to a win.
Oh, for sure. And that was on back-to-back drives, by the way, that yo-yo motion where it's basically man-to-man and the guy is supposed to trail him all the way across, but then he stops and the DB is looking to where he's supposed to be if he's going to be the number 2, number 3 guy who's going to carry. And then all of a sudden they snap the ball and he's back where the safety is and they just completely outflank him. And they did that twice. Now, we'll talk about that here a little bit later on, but that defensive coordinator had that happen to him a couple different times this year. Andy Reid has exploited that a couple different times this year. But that guy's going to be a head coach down in Arizona now. And if you think that, there's
both
not
of those
going to be
coordinators, and then we will talk about that a little bit later because
for sure.
I got my own opinions on that, but we'll touch on that a little bit later in the show. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I think, like I said, from a coaching standpoint, the Chiefs dominated the game, and like I said, it led them to victory. That I thought at halftime when Mahomes tweaked his ankle again, dude, I was I texted my buddies, I'm like, it was fun while it lasted, but we're gonna have to deal with this the whole season or the whole off season because this is the Eagles game, man. And
as soon as it happened, everybody that I was watching the game with,
we were texting. All of us we're like, and then Larry texted me and he goes, "It's done." And then there's a couple more. Everybody said that he's done. I couldn't believe that. I think if there was any time for that to happen and there to be an extended halftime like there was, I think it worked out to his benefit because whatever they were able to shoot him up with or give him for some pain relief was on another level, man.
Because I went to a couple Super Bowl parties. I was at one until halftime.
Yeah, more than one.
Yeah. So the first one my cousin had. And
Slick's a superstar, one, man.
The second one, know that about him. The second one, my the missus family had some like family friends and like some of her peoples was over there. So I left him. They were in the same city, so it was nothing for me to get to the other one. But when it happened at halftime, I told everybody. It was like, it might be over with. I said he's in the NFL. Halftime, he will not look the same. I promise you.
Yeah, he came out second half like nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
and that long run that he had in the fourth quarter, he's looking behind him like, "Where's everybody at?" And he's just galloping downfield, and
he
like,
not look the same.
No, I will say that was the most awkward 25-yard scamper that I've seen from anybody. He was like, the whole time, man. I was like, what the hell?
He was laughing. Like,
how am I this wide mouthpiece open? Like off to the side?
Yeah.
But I got to give this guy some kudos real quick because Jalen Hurts played out of his mind, man. He had that one bad play where he dropped that pass, or dropped the ball, and it resulted in a fumble for 6. But outside of that, he played really well. He was really tough to bring down. He made some really good throws. That throw that he made to A.J. Brown was an absolute dime for 6. I think he had 3 touchdowns on the ground, one in the air to A.J. Brown. I think he had over 300 yards passing, 70 yards. I mean, you could really make an argument. You could have made an argument that, hey, he could have been the MVP on the losing side because he played that well. What did you guys think of his performance?
He single-handedly kept the Eagles in the game. One player kept the Eagles in that game. Like you said, he threw for over 300 yards. He was the leading rusher by far with 70 yards, 3 touchdowns. He played, other than that one play, which happens, dude. It happens. Other than that one little hiccup, dude, he was the guy for the entire game. And that's not great to say because where was the defense that we heard so much about? Where was the rest of the offense? Where was Miles Sanders?
Yeah, he was their leading rusher by a lot. Like
Hurts did what he could, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't enough. But I mean, the performance that he had. I mean, Kenneth Gainwell was the next closest guy. Okay, Jalen Hurts had 70 yards. Next closest guy was 21 yards, and Miles Sanders was 16 yards. Not going to get it done. Not going to get it done at all. But I want to ask you guys this because this bothered the hell out of me just watching this play. I've been hearing about it. That damn quarterback sneak where they all get lined up there. I'm telling you, Kelsey is offsides, number one. He has the ball like where his stomach is, and like the guards and the center are like leaned over where the ball is. So they're like offsides. And then nobody ever gets set. And they snap it and then just push. It was like unstoppable. I think they did it 5-6 times.
Yeah, they've been doing it all year.
Yeah,
they've been doing it all year. I don't know about the offsides because there is like a 2 or 3, like a 2-yard leeway point there where I don't know what the
2
rules
yards
exactly are, but
it's a whole human being.
Yeah, well, it's all the referee's discretion too. Just like people say the Philly special was an illegal formation. Like it's only illegal formation if the ref calls it illegal. So I don't know about all that, but I know that, the movement, the early movement was a topic of discussion. Sometimes it looks like he's right on cue. Sometimes it looks like, he's a little bit early, but I don't know what it is, why they can't stop that quarterback sneak, but they just get low. And they just
they get low
and they get all the push in the back.
Yeah, they get all the push, but then Jalen Hurts too. Like, give him some credit for it too, because that guy is like a power lifter, from my understanding. Like how strong he is, that he doesn't just get a yard. You could run that on 3rd and 3 almost, because he's getting the push for it. But that was crazy. But let's kind of talk about the ending of the game, because I really felt like there's been a lot of talk about that holding call or not holding. They shouldn't have called it there or whatever. I kind of wish that they wouldn't have called it. It was, in my mind, it was a penalty, but I wish that they wouldn't have called it, because I would have loved to see what Jalen Hurts would have done coming out, being able to, okay, we're down 3 with just under 2 minutes left and going. I feel like we kind of got robbed of that situation, but I felt like it was a holding call. What did you guys think about how the end of the game kind of transpired and leading up for the Chiefs to win the game?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a holding call as well. At first, when I watched it live as a receiver, I was like, I don't know if you make that call in that type of situation. But then I watched it again in slow motion. I was like, yeah, as a receiver, I would have wanted that call. I don't care what the situation was. So,
well, you can, Rick, you can see it. I mean, the defender uses the receiver's hip to propel him forward.
Leverage. Yeah,
it's not the most egregious call, but also the angles that they were showing on TV weren't great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You go back and see, I saw a picture of Bradbury having the jersey, and the jersey's fully
stretched
extended.
out.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it was clearly a hold. And when you go into the post game press conference and you admit that it was a hold, I'm sure they weren't too happy about that, but dude, it is what it is. And it got called. And you can make the argument, keep the flag in your pocket, but it's a penalty.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's my thing. It doesn't matter when it is. If it's a penalty, you got to throw the flag. You know what I mean? Like that's my thing. And it was
defensive holding doesn't matter within 5 yards.
It doesn't matter where it is. That's illegal contact. So if it's within 5 yards, Jeff, your question there, was it within 5 yards? They can't touch him past the 5 yards, but holding, you can't do that pretty much any time.
You can't, like I said, when I saw it slow motion, I definitely agree. They should have called it. But when I watched it live, it looked different. But at the same time, the reason why I say the time that they called it is because we've been watching games all through the season where that same call has not been called, and it probably has been worse of a hold.
Right.
So it's like,
well,
just go back to that play with the Saints a few years ago. Dude, if that wasn't a pass interference, I don't know what the hell's a penalty anymore.
Yeah,
and that led to that horrible rule that they could review pass interference, and thank God they got rid of that.
Yeah. So we got the Chiefs. They hoisted the Lombardi afterwards. Mahomes, really gritty performance. Like, have a different level of respect for him, kind of grinding through what he had to go through in that game. This might be a little bit of a loaded question. Do you think that the Chiefs were the best team in football this year, and that team was rightfully should be holding the Lombardi, or do you think that the Eagles just kind of lost that game and you felt like they were the better team? What are your guys' thoughts?
I'll go. I think the Chiefs are the best team in football. I think that the Eagles are a damn close second. But as a whole, I asked you guys last week, Mahomes or Hurts?
A-holes.
Yeah.
As a whole.
I asked you guys last week, who do you have here? Who do you have here? Who do you have here? It's a toss-up. But as a whole, the Chiefs were the better team. And it didn't look that way for the first 30 minutes of the game. But it ended that way. And it ended that way because from top to bottom, the Chiefs were ready and the Chiefs were better.
And you're talking coaching, you're talking quarterback, you're talking from all the way down, right? Okay.
Correct.
What do you think, Slick? It sounded like you might have a different opinion there.
I think the Chiefs are the Chiefs. I won't say that I think they were the best team in football. Yeah, they won a Super Bowl, so at the end of the day, you have to respect that. I just think with Andy Reid as a coach and Mahomes as a quarterback, I think they have one of those teams where they just find a way to win. Yeah. Yes, they have talent, but they find a way to win. They could be down by 20, and they find a way to win. They find a way to get a couple stops on defense, and Mahomes, he has the ball in his hand and he dials it up, and they find a way to win. Overall, as a team, not including the coaching or whatever the case may be, just as a team overall, I feel like the Eagles were a better team going into the Super Bowl. I just feel like they didn't play the way that everybody expected them to play overall. Offense, yes. Defense, it was some hiccups. But if defense is firing on all cylinders like they have been throughout the season, I mean, we're talking about the defense didn't really show up like they usually do, but the score was still 38-35. So it's not like they got blowed out. It was a scoring game.
They're still that defense is giving up points to formidable opponents all
it's
year.
The NFL. Everybody's giving up points now because of the
the
style
but I'm
of
saying
play.
they're not invincible, and
nobody is in the NFL. What defense is invincible?
They were crowned as the best defense in football, and I didn't think
statistics
they were.
though. Based off statistics, not based off.
I think they had some problems in their back end, and I thought the Chiefs would have an opportunity to exploit it if they were able to give Mahomes time. And with the pass rush not getting there, I think they did. Overall, I thought, especially in that first half, I thought the Eagles were doing what I thought the Eagles were going to do. I felt like it was a bad matchup for the Chiefs, the way that the Eagles would be able to run the ball, but other than Hurts, they didn't really stick with that at all. They did it more through the air, which was surprising. AJ Brown had just under 100 yards, I think. And I think he had just under 100 yards.
Smith had a good game too.
Yeah. Smith had 7 catches for 100 yards and AJ Brown had 6 catches for 96. So when Jalen Hurts is throwing the ball for, 300 yards, that's not what I thought was going to happen in that game. I thought they were just going to lean on him, keep running the ball. But credit the Chiefs. They played the Eagles game and ended up coming out on top. And this is the second time that they've hoisted the Lombardi since 2019. And they've come back from 10 points down to do so. Now in the post game, I had a big question. You guys are going to laugh at this one. You got Patrick Mahomes up there talking. He just got named the MVP. He's got, the confetti falling down on him. Life is good. And then you got Jackson Mahomes behind him doing some sort of TikTok. And the only thing that I could think of was I've seen what Patrick Mahomes' dad is like holding that cigar. He seems like an OG, right? My question is, how in the world does those two different types of human beings come from that man? Like, I was going, what? You got an MVP here and you got a TikTok guy back? I don't even know, man. I don't even know.
His brother has been in a lot of mix, though.
Yeah. They've accepted Jackson for what he is, honestly.
Yeah. That's a whole different
not my
type
cup
of
of tea,
MVP
but he's very popular.
He is. For whatever reason, whether it's positive or negative, like he's been in the mix of a lot of stuff.
It's like Skip Bayless, right? Like people don't like him, but they watch him because they don't like him. I feel like it's the same thing.
And it's the same thing with Bayless. He does it on purpose. Jackson Mahomes does it on purpose. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's an influencer, whether it's good
I don't know
or
if
bad.
I could do that on purpurpose. I could not do that on purpose. I don't care how famous you said I was going to be.
You're also not Jackson Mahomes either, so.
Thank God. Bless me.
I don't know. I would take it. He's probably pretty loaded, honestly.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, when you could go to your brother who like the first $500 million quarterback, hey, bro.
But
got some extra scratch.
I'll tell you what. How many followers has he got on TikTok himself?
I don't even know. I can't bring myself to look him up. I can't do it.
I don't have.
Well, congratulations to the Chiefs. Really great game. That was an awesome Super Bowl. But now we start turning our attention over to the offseason because now everybody after Sunday is 0-0, 0-0. And they're loading up for that next Super Bowl that's going to be in Vegas. By the way, same type of field that gets rolled out and in. So hopefully they get that field situation taken care of by then. But I wanted to revisit this because we had a couple coaching hires for the Colts. Shane Steichen. I would give that. Steichen. He was the offensive coordinator of the Eagles. He gets hired really the next day for the Colts. And then Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, gets hired. That was questionable to me. But then you had the Broncos, Sean Payton, Panthers, Frank Reich, and then Texans, DeMeco Ryans. So out of this group, guys, I mean, Sean Payton's the big name. He's a guy that has won a Super Bowl. Frank Reich won a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator with Philly. fun fact, every single one of these guys on this list had spent some time with the Eagles. D'Amico Ryans as a player, Frank Reich as an OC, Sean Payton as a quarterback coach, and then obviously OC and DC there. What do you guys see out of this group? Like, what do you expect from them? Who do you think is going to have the best opportunity to win right away? We'll start off with Drew.
Two hires jump off the screen at me that I consider good hires. First, the Texans, D'Amico Ryans. I think he's grinded his teeth long enough, and he earned himself a head coaching job, and I'm excited to see what he can do down there in Houston. It ain't going to be easy, and it ain't going to be fast, I don't think, but I'm excited to see what he can do. The other one's Sean Payton. I think we know what kind of coach Sean Payton is, and the Broncos might have the biggest or the best I'm not
roster, maybe out of this group?
Yeah, I was going to say roster, but now I'm looking at it, maybe not. But they got something to work with, and Payton, I think, is a guy that could, an experienced guy that can bring that out and will demand the most out of Wilson and the rest of the team. So those are the two that I'm kind of excited about. The Panthers hiring Frank Reich, I just don't understand. I think Frank Reich is boring. I think he's bland. I think he's blah. He was blah with the Eagles. He was blah with the Colts. But these dudes just keep getting recycled in the NFL, and I don't know how it happens. But like, give somebody else a chance. Like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the Frank Reich hire, and I definitely, dude, what did these two goons at the bottom do to deserve a friggin' head coaching job at this point in their career?
Well, especially over like somebody like Eric Bieniemy, right? Like if you were waiting to, like that's my thing. Like Eric Bieniemy has been a name for a while.
Both Eagles coordinators after 1 year get head coaching job, or 2 years, however long they've been there. But like, I don't like those hires at all. If they both make it 3 years, I'll be impressed.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I don't feel
and
like
if there is anybody that's a coaching whisperer on this show that can predict coaches being fired, I think I got a good.
Hey, that's why I was coming to you first, Drew. Like I had to know, like who do you think? It's crazy. My biggest thing is like the Eric Bieniemy. Like if you were truly waiting for after the Super Bowl and you were trying to get, let's say for the Colts, for instance, because they got the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Eric Bieniemy has been a name for years, not just 1 year. He's been a name since 2019, 2018 with the Chiefs. And I hear all these other coordinators get opportunities, and for him not to get one, okay. And then you look at Jonathan Gannon for the are you really saying that he's better than Cliff Kingsbury? I feel like Cliff Kingsbury might be a better fit than this guy. I don't know. Like he's going to go in there and talk to Kyler Murray and talk about 4 hours of film and all that stuff. I mean, I can go on and on, but I got to hear what Slick has to say about this one. Like, what do you think about this?
The two that you guys pointed out, I definitely agree with them. Ryans and Payton, definitely there are the standouts. The two coaches from the Eagles, for me, like you said, it's like after 1 year. Like Drew said, like I just don't understand why they keep recycling or giving coaches without that much experience opportunities. And even though, and I don't want to turn it into a race thing, but I mean, it is like, it looks that way. It's like, why don't you give Bieniemy an opportunity?
Mm-hmm.
Or Raheem Morris? Like, I feel like both of them are proven.
Well, yeah, I think Raheem Morris
has to be a terrible interview. He has
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing.
He's interviewed for every job in the past 5 or 6 years, and he hasn't gotten one. There's got to be a reason. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Rick, and I don't think anybody knows what it is, but every year we say, oh, give Bieniemy a chance, give Bieniemy a chance. But every year he gets passed over. And I don't know, 32 teams can't be wrong. I feel like
there's a reason behind that, though. Like, he's not the first one that's been passed over. Like, I was surprised that they gave Ryans an opportunity. I'm glad they did, but it's a bunch of coaches that are proven. A bunch of
Well, even Steve Wilkes, right? Like, I'm happy that the Niners got him as the defensive coordinator, but I feel like the way that he handled that Panthers job with most of their guys like getting traded or whatever, and then still have an opportunity for the playoffs at the end. Like, I felt like he deserved that coaching job, and for him not to get it, and not really get the seen elsewhere.
Yeah, that was surprising to me.
That was
he
weird
didn't get that Panthers job.
Or at least somewhere else. I felt like he really put it out there. And then Rich Bisaccia was another guy for the Raiders when they fired John Gruden, that he never really got an opportunity. And he went, and I think he's a special teams guy for the Packers now or something like that. I'm like, he led that. That was like one of the worst situations to be in with the Raiders. And he got him to the playoffs 2 years ago. And then he didn't have an opportunity. So I was like, man, it's weird. I feel like, I don't know if it's broken. I don't know what needs to change or whatever, but to see like, and I like Frank Reich as a person, but let's face it, less than 3 months ago, he was getting fired from Kingsbury for not doing a good job with a better roster.
You mentioned it earlier in this segment. You think Kingsbury is not better than Gannon? Well, how about Steichen? You think Frank Reich isn't a more qualified head coach than Shane Steichen? I don't know, man. I don't understand it. But again, the point I wanted to touch on, the storyline was, it's taken the Cardinals forever to hire a coach. Why? Is it because of Kyler? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? Nobody wants to coach Kyler? No, because they were waiting for the Eagles to lose because they knew they had their guy. Gannon was their guy, I think, from probably pretty early on, and that's why they waited. But
just from an outside looking in, I'll play devil's advocate for this one. Is I would have loved to see Eric Bieniemy with a talent like Kyler Murray to see like how he would handle that situation offensively, right? Like I would have loved to see that opportunity. Now we got Jonathan Gannon, who's not really, he's a defensive guy, straight up. Like he's a defensive guy that couldn't adjust in the Super Bowl. That I don't want to say he's the reason that they lost, but there's 2 wide open touchdowns, to his name really. And now he's getting a head coaching job, but that like cool that you can go handle defense, but you just got to talk to Kyler Murray. Like who's going to be the guy in Kyler Murray's area? Is Kyler Murray going to be running it? Boy, I'm happy that's in the NFC West and they can deal with all that stuff. But this is a really good point here at the bottom here. With Bieniemy, I think teams are concerned that the Chiefs' success is all Andy Reid. He interviewed with Washington for OC, hopefully to get out of Reid's shadow to prove himself. Hope he gets a HC job soon. Reid's pretty old. What if, maybe it's a what if, but what if he was waiting in the wings, right?
Maybe.
And to take
Reid, Reid's non-committal on coming back. Yeah,
is he really?
They asked him when's enough? And he's like, we'll figure it out. He hasn't said that he's definitely coming back, but no, I found it interesting that Bieniemy is interviewing for other OC jobs, because what's that tell you? Maybe he doesn't have as big his hand in this offense as everybody thinks he does.
Could be,
because I know.
There's something.
Doug Peterson didn't. Doug Peterson didn't even call the plays for the Chiefs, but he had the offensive coordinator title.
Right.
So I think it's all BS, honestly. Like, seriously, I'm just keeping it above. Like for me personally, I don't care if the coach is black, white, Spanish. Like if he has earned,
if he's qualified, right? Like if he's a qualified,
give him an opportunity to be able to say he doesn't deserve it. Like at least give him a 3 to 5 years or whatever the case may be.
Gave Jeff Saturday an opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and that's crazy. And Reggie Wayne was already on the staff. So if you're going to bring somebody in as an interim head coach, he's already on the staff. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it's just stuff like that kind of like makes me wonder about, like, I don't know, man. It gets crazy to me sometimes.
Yeah, I feel you there. But we'll see. I'm excited to kind of see what some of these coaches do. The proof's going to be in the pudding, right? This time next year, are we going to be talking about one of these jobs being available again? Statistics say at least one will. At least one of these jobs, I will say, will be there. But there was a guy, right, that we know that Drew, I will say, knows but doesn't love, and that's Derek Carr. Derek Carr got released yesterday Okay, so finally, we kind of knew that was going to come, but there was all talks about him and the Saints. Maybe there's going to be a trade, and then Derek Carr said that I'm not going to waive my no trade clause, and then they finally cut him, and basically there was a guarantee. I believe it was last night that it would have been a $40 million cap hit and guaranteed money for Carr. So obviously they release him, they move on from Derek Carr. But what was your guys' thoughts on this now? Now, the Raiders, they had some talent on offense. I think their biggest problem was on defense. What do you think the market for a Derek Carr is now that the Raiders were kind of moving on? And what do you think their answer at quarterback is going to be?
I don't know what their answer at quarterback is going to be, the Raiders. I did see where the Jets, like you said, the Saints, the Titans, and the Panthers were interested, though. I don't know. Like, I don't think he's like the bottom of the barrel, but I won't say he's elite either. I'll put him like maybe in the middle. So, of course, I don't think he will be a Super Bowl quarterback, but I think he can go to a team with the right system, right OC, and have a winning season, maybe go first-round playoffs, maybe.
So right now, just taking a look at this real quick, looking at the free agents for this year. So Derek Carr's among them, right? Number one, Lamar Jackson. He's going to be a free agent unless the Ravens figure something out between now and March 13th.
I don't think they are. I think they're going to let him go.
Geno Smith, Daniel Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is in that mix, not as a free agent, but as a potential trade. We know Tommy Brady's out of it, right? Yeah. So there's a little bit of a mix there. But that, I mean, other than Lamar Jackson, like, I'm not super pumped about, like, oh, man, this guy's going to turn the Raiders around. I think you get the same type of player, that would come in there if you go the veteran way, like maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo that gets a ball out maybe a little bit quicker. Or, I mean, Geno Smith played well this year, but that was really his only year that he did well. With Jimmy, he doesn't stay healthy, long enough, really. I think he only played like 3 full seasons out of 6. And then Daniel Jones, I mean, there's a reason why they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, right? So I don't know. Like, for me, you get rid of Carr, but like, is the grass really greener on the other side, or do you think they might just get a guy in the draft?
I don't think either would be a better fit, honestly. Just with
they're all lateral moves.
The organization, like whether you get one of those guys you just named, or even something out of the draft. Because now, if you get a rookie in the draft, now he has to get acclimated to the speed of the game and all the other stuff that comes along with being a rookie, and you still are kind of like in the same situation. So I don't know.
I don't know all the inner workings of the. I don't know all the inner workings of the Carr contract situation. So, you said they were going to wind up taking a hit, but I'm just surprised that they let him go with getting nothing for him.
What it was going to be, Drew, real quick, because it was really financially driven, I feel like. So by them releasing him, they freed up almost $30 million in cap space, and $5 million of that was dead cap. So basically freed up $30 million of cap space. Now, if they would have been on the roster as of today, it would have been a $40 million cap hit. And the Raiders, I think they were down towards $7 or $8 million in that range for cap space. So I think it might be more along the lines of, hey, we need to do a couple things on the team, maybe defensively or whatever, and we want to use that cap space. And realistically, it just felt like when they were out of it, that they were just done with him. And I don't feel like they handled it all that great either. Like, they really kind of burned that bridge with him. I feel like they kind of did him dirty, to be honest.
No, I mean, we all saw the writing on the wall that he was done there. Kind of surprised it ended the way it did, but I don't think there's a huge Derek Carr market out there. He'll land somewhere. Obviously, he's going to go somewhere, but like Ricky said, he's a middle of the road guy, man. I got him as number 16 or number 18 in the NFL, and you guys know how I feel about him, but I'm just keeping it real, man. I never been so high on the guy, I never been high on him. I don't think he's that great, but he'll land somewhere. He's going to go somewhere, that's for sure.
Well, they had everybody around him this year, right? So he gets released next week. we're going to talk a little bit more about free agents, and we'll do a little thing of pairing up where we think some of these quarterbacks, what the best fit might be, which will be kind of fun. But just kind of diving into next season. Okay. So we're already kind of starting on that. We're going to start seeing some guys maybe get restructured. We're going to see some guys get signed by their teams before they can officially hit free agency. But this is what your salary cap looks like. Now, what I want you guys to know, and this is a little educational piece, all these ones in the red, if you ever look at your checkbook and it's in the red, it's not a good thing. So these guys from the Jets all the way through the Buccaneers, these guys are all over the cap as of now. Now, you don't have to be at the below the cap until March 13th, which is when the new league year begins. Okay. So you're going to see these teams really restructure some contracts, maybe release some. Now, the Saints have been in this boat for a long time. Now you see this number that's over here where it's like it has the number and it has like these numbers here. These are how many guys that are under contract. So you don't see one of them that says 53. You might see some that say 56. Now the thing is 90 players are under contract when it comes to training camp. Now only the top 51 contracts count towards the salary cap. That's something that I learned last year. I was like, man, 90 guys, only the top 51 contracts count against the salary cap. Now, if you have a really good owner that wants to shell out a bunch of money to good practice squad guys, that's where you kind of see some teams be really, really deep. But Larry's going to be excited about this because his Chicago Bears not only have the number one pick in the draft, but they're sitting with $94 million in salary cap space. I think it's fair to say that they're going to be making some move, boys. They're going to be putting some guys around Justin Fields, I feel like.
I hope so. I really hope they do.
Second that. I hope so.
I really hope they really
He showed glimpses this year, you know?
He definitely did with nothing. No number one, no number two, no number three.
And we know how you are.
A lot of number twos. Yeah, a lot of number twos.
I don't know. Some of those guys might have been high number threes.
No, I'm talking about fours. He had a lot of Dookie on the team.
Yeah.
Said Dookie.
No, the run game wasn't like defense wasn't. I need them to like really spend that money and get some guys around them.
These numbers are kind of crazy though because there's so many teams in the red right here, and within the next month, that's all going to change. They do these guys, these front office guys. That's all they do. They push numbers, man, and they make things work. So we'll see.
But I will say this for like a team like the Saints, right? So they're, what does that say? $55 million over the cap right now. And the cap, by the way, went up by like $25 million. So the base salary cap right now, $224.8 million. You got to imagine that these teams, look at a team like the Vikings, right? They were 13-4. They went to the playoffs, got knocked out. They're looking to retool, but they're, what is that, $43 million over the cap right now. The Jaguars, that's surprising to me because that's a team that has not done very well, that doesn't have a lot of superstars on their team, but they're really over the cap right now. The Bills. But when you look on the flip side of it, you see teams like the Ravens, you see teams like the Cardinals, the Lions, the Colts, the Falcons, the Raiders, Giants, Eagles. Well, where are the Eagles at? Yeah, they're right at, what is that, $8 million?
Yeah, I mean, that's
the 49ers in that same spot, the Chiefs. So out of this group, just looking at these numbers, guys, who do you think is going to make some of these big flashy signings when that first round of free agency? Who do you think can really make a move from, you see the Texans right there, from going bottom barrel to, hey, we're going to get some talent on this squad and we're going to start trying to make a run at this thing. Is there a team out there that you guys are looking at these numbers and feel like are going to be in that list? Or in that
one
group,
that stands out to me is the Bengals. You got one of the top teams in the league, and you're sitting there with $35 million of open money just to go out and play with. They're going to retool. Or not even retool. They're going to add tools. So that's one that kind of jumps out to me.
I think the Falcons. I think the Falcons have a lot of interest on Lamar. And
that offense, the way that they ran it this last year, right? That almost kind of fits with what he was doing if he does leave Baltimore.
Yeah, if the Falcons get him, I think they put a couple more pieces around him offensively and maybe add a couple pieces on the defensive side.
Well, I'll tell you what, that division, right? I mean, Tom Brady's out of there. You got the Saints, you got the Bucks, you got the Panthers, and you got the Falcons. I mean, they get some players in there. They were competitive, right? At least halfway through the season. They drafted a quarterback last year.
Yeah, like they could from Cincy.
Desmond Ritter.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting, boys. I mean, just taking a look at that, we're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to have a lot to talk about into free agency. And then the big thing is when the draft hits. That's going to be fun because we're going to have all of our mock drafts. We'll have a really nice mock draft show. But between free agency, between the XFL, between the USFL and the draft, we're going to be busy, fellas. We're going to be busy.
There's still football out there, Blitz Nation. That's for sure. There's still football to talk about. We ain't going anywhere. All right.
Absolutely.
Shows might not be an hour and a half, in the off season here, but we're not going anywhere. We'll still be here every Wednesday night, bringing you the action. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, I'm proud of your internet right now, Drew. Like we thought that there might be some issues. You want to give a shout out to T-Mobile?
It's still hanging on one bar, which is scaring the crap out of me. For the people, I'm trying to cut out. I'm trying to get rid of my cable, like trying to figure out ways to cut costs here. And so I purchased the T-Mobile 5G thing, and I hooked that up and trying to go streaming here. And I guess it's working, but it's scaring the crap out of me because it's saying it's only at one bar. And usually when I'm at one bar, I'm like skipping all over the place, like.
Get the internet and fire sticks. That's what I have.
That's what I'm looking for.
In the living room.
That's what I'm looking for. Big night tomorrow, boys. They're like, I don't know if you caught. I'm a little hoarse. I can't remember the last time on the show I've actually been healthy. First of all,
hey,
I'm sick all the time. But tomorrow night, South Jersey basketball championship. We got the Camden High Panthers versus the Camden East Side Tigers, I think. Two guys in the McDonald's All-American, two Kentucky commits. Your boy's calling the game. Not only am I calling the game, I'm DJing the game too. So I play all the.
What's your DJ name?
DJ Dizzle. I play all the. That was given to me by. I'll give a shout out to Nick Brady back at Del Val. He gave me that.
DJ Dizzle.
He doesn't say and another one. He goes and one more.
Yeah. So I'm playing all the timeout music, all the entrance music. We got a big game tomorrow night in Cherry Hill, expecting probably 2,000 people out at the high school. So gonna be a big one.
Is it getting to playoff time for those guys? Basketball is it? Yeah.
Yep. Playoffs start next week, but this is like a New Jersey tournament that they do. And this is the championship game. So we're not even in the championship.
We're just hosting district or division tournament.
No, it's just South Jersey, so all the teams play each other, and we actually have the biggest gym in South Jersey at our high school, so we always host these events and stuff like that. So big night. You never know who's. Remember, Ricky? You guys remember DeJuan Wagner?
Yeah,
basketball player. Yeah, his son DJ Wagner is one of the top players in the country. He's playing in the game, and then they got a 7-footer. So DeJuan Wagner will be in the house. Who knows who else? It might be my big break. So I've been sucking down cough drops and trying to get my voice right.
Man.
Now, coming out. I don't know. I might have to play the Chicago Bulls entrance song. So.
Oh, wait a second. There we go.
Sending me out.
Oh. No. I got the wrong one. Hot shot time.
DJ.
4 different songs right here.
DJ, I thought he was cutting us off at first.
And one more.
I thought he was cutting us off.
Good with that dribble.
I felt like I was at the Academy Awards or something.
Yeah. Your time's up. No, your time's up. Hey, you were talking about one bar, though, as we started to talk about Hot Shot of the Week. Now, you're kind of blown up as far as your Dailies cocktail services over there.
Yeah.
You're looking for extra bartenders and stuff like that. You're getting big. You got big events now? Yeah.
I'm booking. I got events coming up. We got 400 people down the shore over the summer. Listen, if there's any bartenders out there listening to the show, I pay travel expenses too. So if you want to fly in, BP,
I'll come see you.
You come out.
BP,
I'll pay your airfare. Ricky,
BP, you trying to slide?
I'll pay your airfare. I'll put you guys up. Listen, I'm talking cash money, homie. Like we'll get this thing going. I got a lot of this business took off. Like I might not be a secretary much longer, if this business keeps going. I started that job today too, man. You should see the pictures.
Business
that come
is booming.
Out. You should have seen the pictures that come out of that.
Man. You got to share them. We got to share them on the show next week, man. We got to see that stuff. All right, hot shot of the week, guys. Let's go with Slick, man. Who's your hot shot this last week? What stood out to you? Who's your hot shot?
You mean as far as the game goes, Super Bowl game?
No, just hot shot like
in
general.
Yeah.
It's over, Rick. We're done already. Hot shot of the week, man.
Man.
It's kind of hard to. I don't know. Matter of fact, hot shot of the week goes to my mom, my old girl. We just celebrated her birthday on the 11th.
Hey,
she's 62.
There you go.
Oh, she's gonna get mad. You said that.
62, I believe.
22.
She doesn't look it though, so she's all right. But yeah, she texted me, I think Sunday. It was like, I really enjoyed myself this weekend. Friday, we all took her out to like a seafood restaurant in St. Pete, which she loves seafood. Saturday, me and the missus took her out to a steak restaurant called Fleming's. And Sunday, she was with all my it was a family deal at the Super Bowl party. So like her and my aunts and all, like they were over there just hanging and cutting. So the fact that I was able to do that, shouts out goes to her.
That's cool. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Good.
That's
Happy
awesome.
birthday.
Larry's not going to ever let this go down. Justin Fields. I got nothing then. That was solid, man.
That's funny.
That was solid.
That's good.
Drew, who's your hot shot, man?
The hot shot of the week, man. My hot shot of the week this week goes out to it's been a couple times that we've said this, but the Blitz Nation for tuning in tonight. Stick with us over to, we built up a nice little fan base here, man. So stick with us in the off season. Thank you for tuning in all season. I can't believe it's over already. But I'm looking forward to going into the off season, talking about all these free agency moves and leading up to the draft. And before you know it, man, we'll be talking about preseason camp and doing our divisional picks and stuff like that. So my hot shot of the week is the Blitz Nation. Also, got to give a shout out to the Prophet.
Yes.
Love you. Thinking about you. Best wishes with what you got going on, man. So hot shot to you. Cheers.
Yes, sir.
For sure. Absolutely. That goes all around there. Speaking of Blitz Nation, I'll go ahead and drop this bomb right now. We'll talk about this more, boys, but this is coming from me when it comes to our mock draft challenge that we have for the first night of the draft. $100 is going to be on the line minimum. So we'll talk about however much we want to minimum. Okay. And that's for whoever has the best mock draft, pick by pick. We'll get into it. We'll obviously have our mock drafts the Wednesday before the draft kicks off. So there's definitely a reason for you guys to stick around and listen to us talk about off-season stuff. But I got to give a shout out. My hot shot of the week is one of my best friends, Jeff Lamb. He's in here right now. It's his birthday today. So I got to give a shout out to him tuning in on his birthday, man.
What's up?
I won't even say the age.
Jeff.
But I'm telling you what, that dude's my boy right there.
I'm water tonight, but saving the pipes. But happy birthday. Happy birthday, Jeff.
Man, happy birthday. And the other hot shot has got to go to Slick's beanie. I feel like it made an appearance on Joe Pesci and Home Alone.
Yes. I'm glad you touched on that.
Bandits. I mean, bro, I almost was like, yeah. WETBAN. Just shut up, Marv. Shut up.
Shut up, Marv. Underrated movie.
Classic. That's a great movie, man. Well, until next week, guys, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. We'll go through the quarterback carousel, our little picks.
First week at XFL, man.
This week at XFL.
And make sure you guys watch. We're going to be dissecting.
Watch it. We're going to be talking about it, man. So until then.